Did they just let a role player into the All-Star game? Look, man, Andrew Wiggins is a starter in the All-Star game, and this is no hate to Andrew Wiggins. This is not really about him, but it's what angers me the most is the spot that he takes away from someone way more deserving than him. It's hard enough that it's a 12-man roster. We get snubs every single season in the All-Star game. It's just part of the game. But I've always thought, why not just have it be 15 roster spots? Like a regular NBA team. But look, Andrew Wiggins is now the 4th best player on his own team. He's been the 3rd best player on a second seed team. And yes, that implies that I'd rather have Draymond Green over Andrew Wiggins right now in the All-Star game. The All-Star game should be about putting the best NBA players on the same court together. And that's just not what we'll be getting anymore because of this selection. It was almost perfect. I agreed with every other selection. Embiid, KD, and Giannis as the East front court, easy, done. Trae Young and DeRozan as a backcourt, I'm good with that. People are talking about having both DeMar and Levine in the backcourt, which is cool, but I'm also glad that Trae Young got the spot. Jokic and LeBron in the West, duh. Steph Curry, obviously. Super happy for Ja Morant, very well deserved. It looks like he beat out Devin Booker, CP3, Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic. He's that dude, and I have no problems with that whatsoever. And then Wiggins? For those who may not know, fan voting accounts for 50% of the vote, 25% goes to the NBA player vote, and 25% is the media vote. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting like some shady ass like electoral college vibes from this whole voting process right now. So going back, when I first heard that Wiggins was a starter, I obviously first blamed the fans, but when I looked at the breakdown of the votes, which I'll be getting to in a sec, I'm seeing that, damn, a lot of these players are kind of even more biased than the fans. They just be voting for their homies, for real. Like I was looking at the voting results. 2 NBA players voted for Ben Simmons. I need names. Point them out. I bet it was Dwight Howard and some Australian dude like Dante Exum. I'm pretty sure he and Ben Simmons actually grew up in Australia together. I bet it was him. Fun fact, Ben Simmons got more votes this year from the fans than Tyrese Maxey, who's actually playing with his team. I'm so embarrassed. I know Paul George is hurt and he's facing a season-ending surgery. Prayers up for him. He would have been my pick for that last spot in the West, but there are still like 4 guys I would have rather seen in Wiggins' spot, and here they are in order. Number 1 is Rudy Gobert. Obviously, fans aren't going to vote for Rudy Gobert. People still associate him with the start of COVID when he was like the first NBA player to test positive, and which led to the league being shut down and all that bad stuff. He's just generally not a very well-liked player by the fans at all. And what bothers me the most is this is not a new thing. It's always been a pattern. All-star voting always consistently unfairly hurts the small market players because they just don't have the same visibility. The Jazz were actually the 1 seed last year, I believe, and they had no starters to show for it. And now this year, the Suns are the number 1 seed, and they have no starters to show for it. My number 2 pick for who I would rather have is Karl Anthony Towns. Look, I don't need to explain this too much. He's a former All-Star putting up All-Star numbers. 24, 9-4 on a 500 team. I mean, like, come on. 3rd is Anthony Davis. I know AD has missed a ton of time with a knee injury recently. I think he missed 19 games, and he was also playing under expectations before the injury. But we all know AD is a reigning All-Star talent that nobody at the end of the day wouldn't mind seeing in the All-Star game. And yet it still feels like he wasn't even close to getting that spot for some reason. 4th is Draymond Green. Yes, I know his counting stats are unimpressive, and people don't necessarily want to see his play style, myself included, in the All-Star game. I get that. He's averaging like a triple single again, but if you must have 2 players from the Warriors, why not go with your 2 best players? He's the captain of that defense. He's the reason why their defense is so dominant as a team. And I would have thought that the fans, if anybody, would have tried to get Klay in the All-Star game, given his whole return after 2 years. So this whole thing is just really confusing to me. But Draymond is currently my front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. He's probably toe-to-toe with Rudy Gobert right now. And he just continues to be underrated, and it's pretty sad. So that's who I would definitely put over Wiggins. That's 4 players right there. But even then, I didn't even mention Brandon Ingram, who's been an all-star and he's just a better player. Then and only then would I consider Andrew Wiggins for that spot. So now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to isolate the 3 different voting streams, fans, media, players, and see who was the most wrong. Who messed this up for everybody? All right, so if it were just up to the NBA players, in the West, it would be LeBron, Jokic, and Draymond, and a backcourt of Steph Curry and Ja Morant. Then in the East, if the NBA players voted only, it would be Durant, Giannis, and Embiid, of course. If anyone didn't have those three, then you just need to be deregistered to vote for the foreseeable future. And then the players voted DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine in the backcourt. Interesting. So the players actually voted for the all Bulls backcourt over Trae Young. I got no problems with that. Nice job, NBA players. Actually, hold up. Players had Wiggins at 5. So they had more votes for Draymond and Gobert, but Wiggins got more votes from the players than DeAndre Ayton, Karl Anthony Towns, Paul George, and Brandon Ingram. Am I missing something? Wiggins just must be a great human being because I just don't see it, man. All right, now the media. If it were 100% media vote, we would have a LeBron, Jokic, and Gobert front court in the West, a.k.a. my pick, and then Steph and Ja in the backcourt. Perfect. 100% agree. Then in the East, the media would have had Durant, Giannis, and Embiid, again, obviously, and then DeMar and Trae. That whole list is exactly what I had. What do I have to do to get a media vote one day? Look at this. I'm seeing a list of who the media had ahead of Wiggins, and wouldn't you know, in order, they had Gobert, Draymond, and Cat with more votes than Wiggins. I had the same thing. Anyway, so now the fans, the infamous fans. Now, since the fans get 50% of the vote, they're obviously going to have a bigger influence on the end results. And the whole argument for the fans getting 50% is it's an all-star game. It's supposed to be about the fans. It's supposed to be who the fans want to see. But what the NBA doesn't realize is the average fan is stupid and misinformed and extremely biased. Like, look at these stats, man. 18, 4, and 2 for Wiggins on the season, man. Are you kidding me? Look, I know he's good at defense now, but he's not like revolutionizing this team. He's just great in his role. Think of it like this. Wiggins hasn't even come particularly close to being an all-star before, let alone a starter. Not when he won Rookie of the Year, not when he averaged 24 points per game when he was with the Wolves, and not last year. So if he hasn't even become close to being an all-star before, and he's a starter this year, wouldn't one assume that he'd be in consideration for Most Improved Player this year? Go check out my video on Most Improved Player award this year, because that man was nowhere to be found on anyone's ladders or lists anywhere. His points are down from last year, his assists are down from last year, his rebounds are down, free throw percentage is way down to 66%. He had a slight uptick in his three-point percentage and his field goal percentage, which is great, and his defense has improved, but even his advanced stats indicate that he's pretty much an average NBA player. I'm not a huge advanced stats guy, but the average player efficiency rating, PER, across the league is 15. And just for a frame of reference, LeBron's PER this season is 27. Steph is having a bad year for his standards, and he has a PER of 22. His other all-star backcourt teammate, Ja Morant, has a career-high PER of 26. And then Jokic has an insane, historically high PER of 33. You know what Wiggins' PER is? 16. That means they let a slightly above average player start in the All-Star game. Gobert even has a PER of 26, and Katz is 24. In the back of my mind, I'm hoping that the game itself will kind of mitigate this issue by limiting Wiggins' minutes. Even if he has to start, I don't want to see him closing the games or getting significant minutes over like Chris Paul or Devin Booker or something like that. We need to start having a real conversation about removing the restrictions of voting by positions. The lines between guard, forward, and center in the NBA get even blurrier by the year. So why wouldn't we just have the 5 best players in the NBA on the All-Star team, regardless of position? The captains are still going to do the draft style, so you shouldn't have to worry about, oh, the East has better bigs and it being like a potential size advantage. I felt like the last position for that spot in the West was so forced. Like, we had to think of another forward who wasn't hurt, and we just landed on Andrew Wiggins when there were deserving players like Chris Paul and Devin Booker who should have gotten that last spot, and no one would have been mad with that. And the only reason they didn't get that spot is because they're labeled as guards. Yeah. NBA, it's time to make a change because one of these is not like the other. So let me know your thoughts, man, on the All-Star selection, on Wiggins getting that last spot in the West. Let me know if you think I'm just tripping over nothing and I just need to roll with it and enjoy basketball. Appreciate Andrew Wiggins. Again, I don't want to come off as a hater, but like, I just want to see the best basketball product in All-Star Weekend. It's bad enough that's in Cleveland. I'm not supposed to be hating. My bad. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment, leave a like. I'll see y'all in the next one.